To keep yourself updated, subscribe to Indigo Learn and click the bell icon and download our app OneFin to start learning on the go.
Now, having understood SA 501 in detail, it is now time for us to understand in a summarized manner. This will help you understand the flow. Also, if there are some kind of misconceptions in between, even they will get cleared. So, with this, we'll start with the summary of SA 501. So, again, the name of the standard, Audit Evidence, Specific Consideration for Selected Items. That means there are 3 selected items where it is required for the auditor to obtain sufficient appropriate evidence for some specific consideration. There are specific assertions. Alright, now the 3 selected items are: first, inventory; second, we talk about claims and litigations; and third, we talk about is the segment information. So let us understand first, that is about inventory. But before that, you need to understand that this particular standard is very clear about validating only certain assertions. That means when we talk about inventory, all the assertions connected with inventory we are not validating here. Here we talk about only 2 specific assertions. On the similar lines, claims and litigations, only a particular assertion. On that last one, which we talk about segment information, there also we have a particular assertion to be validated. So I would rather say it is selected item for a specific assertion as well. So in the inventories, the auditor has to ensure about the physical presence, that is physical existence, and the condition of the inventory. Second, claims and litigation, you have to check the completeness. And third, when you talk about segment information, you have to ensure about the presentation and disclosure of this information. So basically, we are going to talk about these 3 things in detail. So let us understand the first one, that is physical verification or the inventory. Alright, now inventory in those organizations where inventory happens to be material item, like for example for FMCG products, fast moving consumer goods, where inventory is going to be one of the major items of financial statements to be evaluated by the auditor. Usually inventory, to understand and to verify, the ideal thing is that you have to attend the physical verification or the physical count conducted by the management. This happens on the 31st of March every year, and this is conducted by the management. So the auditor has to make himself available on 31st of March and present himself or be present at the physical counting which is happening. If the auditor it is possible for the auditor to attend the physical count of the inventory, then there he has to very clearly understand, that is, he has to assess the management's instructions given to the staff for understanding how the counting process is happening. Second, he himself has to observe the entire physical process which has been going on, the physical counting that is going on. Also, he need to inspect the inventory. Why inspection becomes important? Because there is somebody else who is doing the physical verification. So only if you observe, you would be able to understand physically they are present. But this standard also tells you that you have to check the physical existence, but along with that, you also have to check the condition as in the quality of the inventory. Because only the good quality inventories are valued at one pace, at one type, and when you are discarding or there is an obsolete inventory, there is a different valuation methodology. So in that case, you have to understand that if you inspect the inventory by yourself, you will be able to understand the condition of the inventory. And then you could also take up some test count. What do you mean by test count? You could participate physically by yourself in doing some kind of test checking of the inventory. So maybe if there are 5-6 godowns together, maybe one of the godowns you can actually have a physical verification conducted by yourself. And the remaining you could simply be an observing person to observe the count happening by whom? The management. So this is where you could be present at the time of physical counting conducted by the entity, that is on 31st March usually. But now in this standard, we have also covered rare or different circumstances or special circumstances where maybe the physical counting is not happening on 31st of March, or maybe it is happening on 31st March but the auditor is unable to attend due to some reasons. Or there is a possibility that whenever you conduct the physical count, the auditor, for him it is impracticable to be present at the physical counting. So we are going to now discuss about 3 scenarios which are different, which are special. What is regular? One regular is where regularity means what? They conducted and you attended on the same day. So that point is quite simple to understand, where you will be checking about the management instructions, you would do the observation, you would do inspection, you would also do the test count, whereby you will be able to come to a conclusion whether what is given in the records and what is available, whether it is matching or not. But there are special circumstances. So let us take up the first one. The first one is where the management has not conducted the physical verification on 31st of March. Rather, they have conducted the physical verification on maybe a day other than the 31st of March. So it happened on 5th of April, 7th of April, 10th of April. In that case, if suppose the auditor presents himself on the later point of time where the physical verification is conducted, obviously we are going to give the opinion on the financial statement as on 31st March. So you need to understand the figure as it would appear or as it is accurate as on 31st of March. So on 7th of April, you will be able to understand the position as on that date. So what you will do as the auditor? You are going to perform the procedures wherein you will be able to do the reverse calculation and come to the position as on 31st of March. What is reverse calculation? Where all the sales which have happened, you will add it back to the inventory. All the purchases that you made in the intervening period, you will deduct, right? So you will apply some additional procedure and you would recalculate in a reverse order. That means you will go from 7th of April and you will reach where? On 31st of March. So in that way, you will be able to understand the position as on 31st of March. So this is quite understandable. Let us understand a situation second now, where the management is conducting the physical verification on 31st of March. But the auditor has started towards the office, but due to some unseen circumstances or maybe something beyond your control like accidents, emergencies, where he is not able to present himself on the date where physical verification is going to be conducted. So now the management is conducting the physical verification, but the auditor is not present. So what the auditor could do first is that he would inform the management, look management, please change the date of your physical verification. If the management agrees, then you would request the management and the management would shift the date on the data point of time. And then you come to the category 1 where you will do the reverse counting. But now, no guarantee that the management is going to agree. So in that case, the management says, no, we have to conduct it today itself. So the management will conduct the physical verification, but you are not present. That doesn't mean you are going to simply rely on the reports prepared by them. No. So what will you do is, you will perform alternative procedures. So you could see that if suppose management is going to conduct immediate physical verification after a week or maybe after a fortnight, you would be present at that point of time. But if suppose there is no physical verification conducted by them, then you would perform alternate audit procedures. What could be alternate audit procedures? You could check some documentation of sales, purchases, all of that. And through some alternate audit procedures, you could do reverse calculation and check it. You should ensure cutoff procedures have been properly followed by the management. But if suppose alternate procedures are not possible and you are not able to understand what would be the position as on 31st of March, then you are lacking a sufficient appropriate audit evidence, and this would definitely impact your financial statements or your audit report, right? Then comes to the third one, where it becomes impracticable for the auditor to attend the physical verification. Here, whether the audit client is going to conduct on 31st of March or 5th of April, 7th of April, 10th of April, does not matter. Any point of time the client is going to conduct, you as the auditor will not be able to attend. Why? Reason could be there is some kind of disturbance happening in that region. There could be some kind of chaos. There could be some kind of regional wars going on. There could be some kind of bandh. In India, we have this very common thing called as nation is bandh or it is lockdown. Okay, so maybe in those areas there is some kind of political disturbances happening or something, and for the auditor it has become very risky to go to that particular location. So what they are saying, whenever you conduct, the auditor, he will not be attending. So in that case, obviously, we will try to perform alternate procedures. We would inspect the documents, specific purchases, specific sales in the intervening periods. And through this, we will be able to give an opinion or come to a conclusion whether inventory is valued correctly or not. But if suppose alternate procedures are also not practicable and we are not in a position to give sufficient appropriate audit evidences, that means we are not able to obtain by the alternate procedures. In that way, we will definitely check what would be this impact on the financial statements. That means we could have be modified opinion as per SA 705. Now, these are three different categorizations where we understand that for physical verification we are not able to be present. But there is one more fourth situation which has been given here. When the inventory is lying with third party. So when the inventory is lying with the third party, it is your inventory. So obviously that part also should come where? In your physical count, in your valuation. So here what happens is, it is very important that you get an understanding of what? The presence as well as the condition of that inventory which is with the third party. Third party could be your agents. Third party could be a banker with whom you have pledged it like a security. Alright. So third parties could be your consignees. Anybody would be a third party, even the warehouse. So you are maintaining your goods in the godown. So the warehouse keeper, third party, right? So if your goods are with the third party, lying with the third party, to understand the physical presence and the condition, what are the requirements? So you need to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence. So what will you do? First, very importantly, third party. So you would follow SA 505. So you would obtain external confirmation about the physical presence and the existence. But if suppose we have a doubt as to the reliability, if we feel that it is not that reliable source to obtain, maybe the person who is going to give is not reliable enough, or maybe you have a doubt as to the integrity, then in that case we will go to alternate audit procedures. Here what would be the alternate procedure? You could send another auditor to that particular location to inspect it, or maybe you could yourself go and present and go and do the physical checking by yourself, or there could be a possibility that third party has their own auditors. So you could request for their audit report. Alright. So like this, you could obtain certain other methods, or there could be some other procedures through which you could obtain an understanding of the physical presence as well as the condition of the inventory lying with the third party. Ideally, we obtain direct confirmation. But if that is giving a doubt for us, in our mind there is a doubt as to the sufficiency or the appropriateness, then in that case we will go to alternate. Alternate would be, you could yourself go, send another auditor, try to get some kind of inquiries, okay, or maybe they have their own audit report prepared by their auditor. So you could obtain a confirmation from them. You could get their audit report for cross verification. So all of this is what you do as a part of what? Doing the alternate audit procedure for understanding the inventory lying with the third party. You could also inspect certain documents like the warehouse keeper's records. That also would be inspected by you. So these are the alternate methods when you believe direct confirmation is not going to be supportive. So these are all the ways through which you will be understanding about the physical presence, that is the physical existence as well as the condition of the inventory. So physical existence basically means what? Physically it is present. Alright, that means actually it is there or not there. Condition refers to the quality. That means is it in good condition or is it obsolete, to be discarded, spoiled, what is it? These two assertions you are going to validate where? In SA 501. So very specifically you are going to come to a conclusion whether physically they are present and whether the quality of that inventory as given by the management is correct or not. Clear? So that is about what? Inventory. Now what is the next item of discussion here? It is about claims and litigations. And what are claims and litigation? The legal cases going on against the entity, that is our client, right? Now here we need to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence whether the management has disclosed all the litigations going on against the entity correctly to us. That means in the financial statements, all the provisions, all the contingent liabilities which are appearing with respect to all the court cases, legal expenses, all of that, whether it has been properly disclosed by the management. So what you have to understand here, whether all the information regarding claims and litigations are completely given by the client, that is the management to us. And also they are disclosed correctly where? In the financial statements. What will the procedure be adopted by the auditor here? Very simple. You first have to communicate with whom? The management, the other people in the organization, and also the in-house legal counsel. What is in-house legal counsel? We could have hired the lawyers. There could be an integral part of the organization. We have employees working in the department of entire legal counsel, right? So who are going to particularly take care of all the legal matters going on. So you could have in-house, that means internally to the organization, a separate department altogether who is going to take care of all these kind of matters. So we could communicate with them as well. So the first thing we do is communication, that is nothing but inquiry. So we are going to first inquire about all the claims, litigations, what is the matter, how much is the provision to be created, if what is the provision created is relevant, reasonable or not. So all of this we are going to have a communication with them. Second, you would be reviewing the minutes of the meeting which has been conducted between whom? The TCWG, management, with the legal counsel. So the legal counselors and all the people within the organization, that is TCWG and management, obviously they have meetings throughout the year. If there is any court case going on, you will definitely have meetings, right? So in these meetings, what has been discussed? What are the matters taken up for discussion? All of this will be registered through a minute. That minute you can have an access and you can review to understand what was the discussion that was happening. Understand, when you refer the minutes, you will also come to an understanding how many court cases are going on. Because there will be a discussion of all the legal cases which are going on against you. So if suppose the management is trying to hide any of the legal cases, any of the court cases against the client, then in that case, this will be the minutes which will help you to understand that yes, there has been some non-disclosure by the management, indication of something wrong, correct? Then, third would be again the review of the legal expenses. Now in the P&L account, you'll have the legal expenses. Now legal expense and the number of court cases going on, some reasonableness has to be there. When you go and communicate with the management, inquire with the management, they tell you we are expecting a compensation to be paid of 2 lakh rupees. So obviously the legal cases should be below 2 lakhs, right? Because when the ultimate compensation to be paid is 2 lakh, if you are going to expend about 2 lakh, what sense it makes as a businessman to you, right? But the legal expense account is having a figure of 20 lakh rupees. Something unreasonable, something very dubious, something very doubtful. So in this case, when the legal expense is having 20 lakh and the management is telling you only 2 court cases are going on, where an approximate figure that we are expecting is only so much. How can you expend 20 lakh for an ultimate loss of your 2 lakh rupees? That is something unreasonable. So this will give a doubt in the mind of the auditor, something is going wrong, right? So here 3 audit procedures basically we follow: inquiring with the management, TCWG, all the internally legal counsels that we have. Second, you will review the minutes of all the legal counsels with that of the management and TCWG to understand the discussions and all of that. Third, we will also review about the legal expense account, properly analyze in detail all the legal expenses that have been accounted for. So for us to understand where is the expenditure done, which direction is the expenditure flowing, whom has the payment been made, and why it has been made. All of that you will understand, and basically you will get an idea how many legal charges are actually going on against you. So is there anything which has been concealed by whom? The management. Right? Now, suppose by doing all this, there comes in a mind of auditor that there is some kind of risk of material misstatement. If you get a doubt of a risk regarding material misstatement, then in that case, you will also do some additional audit procedures to come to a conclusion whether there is a misstatement or there is not a misstatement. So what you could do here is that you would obtain external confirmation from the external legal counsel. Who are external legal counsel? The advocates, the lawyers externally, the external independent firms which are looking after your court cases, right? So you could also talk to them, get an confirmation from them about the understanding regarding what is the case going on, what is the matter, what could be the expected liability, how much provision would be reasonable, is it probable for us to lose. All of this information we could acquire from the external legal counsel. But at some point in time, even the external legal counsel will not be able to reply back to you. Because these are independent bodies, they will have their own law and regulation. Like how we auditors have the concept of confidentiality over us, which is coming to us from the ICAI. On the similar lines, when we have a code of ethics governing us, on the same lines, we will be having those professional bodies also having their code of ethics. So suppose if the legal counsel, the external legal counsel, by their laws and regulation are prohibited to give us any information, then tell me in that case, will they be able to provide us with any confirmation? No. So in that case, we will move on for we will go for alternate audit procedure. Alright, alternate audit procedure could be checking some other documents, or doing some other kind of external verification. Maybe you could talk to some other third parties and try to do some alternate audit procedures. Alright, then There could also be a possibility that you have a doubt in your mind, you want to seek external confirmation, but management is refusing you. Management is not allowing you to communicate with the external legal counsel. Or maybe there is no alternative for us to get any kind of evidence. That means alternate audit procedures are not practically possible. There is no way out through which we are able to obtain external confirmation. We are not able to follow any alternate procedure to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence. So by any which way, we are not able to get what? Sufficient appropriate evidences regarding the completeness. That means all our disclosures have been made properly regarding claims and litigations. So in that case, tell me, will you conclude just like that? Or will you look in for SA 705? First, you communicate with the TCWJ and understand the matter. If it is not happening, then you have to communicate through your audit report and you have to get an understanding through what? SA 705. That means there is going to be an implication on the opinion on your financial statement, and we could end up giving a modified opinion as per SA 705. When you are not able to obtain confirmation, alternate procedures not possible, management not allowing you to obtain confirmations. So in that case, we would see or recheck what would this be impact over our opinion on the financial statement, and thereby we would see the consideration of SA 705. Now, one very important thing which I've already explained, that whenever something becomes a management responsibility, you have to get an acknowledgement of their responsibility through a written representation. Because written representation is also an audit evidence. Though it is not a sufficient appropriate evidence, it is basically a supporting audit evidence. So it is very important, when something is a responsibility of the management, you obtain the WR. So tell me, giving full information and giving full disclosure of all the claims and litigations is of whom? Management. So you as the auditor could obtain written representations or management representation letter from the management telling them to give an accountability or giving them a confirmation that they have disclosed all the claims and litigations which are known to them and they have been accounted properly in the books of the account. Clear? So you will obtain what? A written representation. From whom? The management. That they have disclosed what? Everything regarding claims and litigation. If you do this, then you would be able to get you could be able to get a persuasive evidence, or you would be able to get an evidence regarding the completeness of the claims and litigation, which is required by SA 501. And the last part of the standard talks about is what? Segment information. Segment information, as I already explained, those organizations which are required to report segment wise because of the accounting standards being applicable, AS 17 or Ind AS 108, they would be required to disclose or present the financial statement even the segment wise. So basically you have the industries in the FMCG, that is fast moving consumer goods, or you could have some which are diversified in multiple projects, or maybe those are geographically spread very wide, okay, there are multiple sectors, areas and all of those. They would be required to give their information even segment wise. So you have you have an accounting standard called AS 17 and Ind AS is covered by 108, where they will give you a proper understanding of how the information has to be segmented, how you have to choose your segments, what is the criteria, and basically how do you present and disclose the segment information. So now, if suppose the particular entity which you are auditing is required to comply with these accounting standards, then in that case, you the auditor is required to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence regarding the disclosure and the presentation of segment information as per the applicable financial reporting framework. What is financial reporting here? That is AS 17 and Ind AS 108. Along with that, you would also check the methods that they have used or applied for dividing their segments. Also do the analytical procedures to understand whether the prior period and these segments are consistent. Also importantly, you can do the industry comparison. Two FMCG companies, what is the way they have bifurcated their segments? Do a comparison to understand the presentation and disclosure, whether it is as per the applicable financial reporting framework. And the methods which the auditor can use to understand, or the examples through which the auditor can understand the methods that are being used by the management in dividing the segments would be, you could take the sales, the transfers, the inter-segment transfers that are happening, the charges that have been shown, to understand the methodology that they are using to divide the segments. Maybe it is product-wise, maybe it is location-wise, where you could see just the departmental transfers that are happening or the segment-wise transfers that are happening to understand what is the segment that they are bifurcated into. Or you could see the allocation of cost and the asset. How is the cost being divided into different segments? Based on that, how is the asset allocation done? So this would be also a method through which they could divide the segment. You could also check the prior period disclosure of segments, whether it is consistently followed this year or not. So these are the ways through which you will be able to understand whether the presentation and the disclosure of the segment information has been done correctly or not. So in a nutshell, this standard simply tells the auditor, look auditor, you have a responsibility of obtaining sufficient appropriate audit evidence about specific assertions of selected item. The three selected items once again are inventory, claims and litigations and segment information. The assertion about the inventory is about physical existence and the condition. About claims and litigation is the completeness, that is identification of all the claims and litigation that is to be disclosed by whom? The management. Third, we talk about segment information just to ensure the presentation and disclosure is as per the applicable financial reporting framework. So this is all about SA 501, audit evidence, specific consideration for selected items. Now having understood SA 501 in detail, it is now time for us to take up certain questions. So we will have a discussion of these questions for you to understand two things. One is that the concept is very clear regarding the selected items, and second, what kind of questions we can expect in the examination from the standard. Alright, so with this, let us get started. These are the questions appearing in the past examination, so you would get an idea what kind of questions will be framed in this particular area. So with this, let us get started. So the first question that we take up is, so let's take the first question. Crush Limited is a dealer in FMCG. FMCG is nothing but fast moving consumer goods. The company has a warehouse throughout the country where stocks are stored. The auditor of the company normally conduct physical verification of stocks along with the management at the end of the financial year. However, the auditor could not physically be present during the stock tracking at two places on the account of certain disturbances in that region. In the light of the above, how sufficient and appropriate audit evidence regarding condition and existence of inventory may be obtained? First one. Second question is, how an auditor is supposed to deal when attendance at physical inventory counting is impracticable? So this question, if you look at it, a very clear indication that it is connected with what? SA 501. Because when we talk about inventory and we are talking about physical verification of inventory, basically we are talking about what? SA 501 requirements. Correct? So now let us read the question line by line, understand what it is telling you. We will analyze it and then come to a conclusion with an answer. Now, our client here is Crush Limited, which is dealing in FMCG. The reason giving here for FMCG indicator is because in FMCG, as I told you, inventory becomes a material item. And you know, when inventory becomes a material item, here in SA 501, physical verification of the existence as well as the condition becomes very, very important. Correct? So that is the reason here they are focusing on even the industry. Alright? So they are the dealer of FMCG, that is fast moving consumer goods. The company has a warehouse. Warehouse means what? A godown where they keep their inventory. Throughout the country where stocks are stored. So there is not one warehouse, there are multiple warehouses. So for our ease of our understanding, let us assume to be 15 warehouses. So maybe all across the country they would be having 15 warehouses. The auditor of the company normally conducts physical verification of the stock along with the management at the end of the financial year. So what they do on 31st of March, whenever the management is conducting, the auditor will present himself. Now obviously at every location he cannot be available, so he'll have the entire engagement team with him. So there could be one place where he visits and his engagement team will be visiting all the other locations. So you need to understand certain things practically as well. Because if I say 31st March at all these locations all throughout the country, you cannot keep yourself present. So you will be having an entire team working together. So you could be present at one location and your team members, which are properly been instructed by you, would be present at the other location. So usually what you are doing is, you will be present at that point. However, the auditor could not physically be present during stock taking at two places on the account of certain disturbances in the region. So here, when they are giving an indicator that there has been certain disturbances means what? Impracticable. That means it is not possible for the auditor to attend the physical verification even if they postpone the physical verification. So whatever date you are going to conduct, the auditor will not be available because there is disturbance in the area. And this, because of this disturbance, what happens, it becomes risky for the auditor to attend the physical verification. Alright. So in that case, will he be present? No. So now let us look at the first question. So prima facie the question is telling, out of 15 locations, 2 locations we could not come. 13 how you will do? 2 how are you going to monitor? So in 13 areas you were present. So there how are you going to assess? That is the first question. Second is 2 places where you could not go. Those places how are you going to do the physical count? Right? So that is the question. So let us understand the first one. In the light of the above, how sufficient and appropriate audit evidence regarding condition and the existence of inventory may be obtained? So in my example where I have told you out of 15, 13 you are present and 2 is what? Not present. See this 15 and 13 I have given it imaginary, 2 is given in the question itself. Alright. So we will talk first about 13 and then we talk about what? The 2. Alright. Now, let us talk about a situation where it is a regular situation as I explained it to you, where if they are conducting on 31st of March, you are present also on 31st of March. So they are coinciding. So what happened when they are conducting the physical verification, you are present. So there what will the auditor do? He will check, he will assess all the management instructions given to the staff regarding how are they going to conduct the physical count, what is the process. So they are going to assess the process, that is the instructions given by the management, alright, for the counting, for the verification, all of that. Then what would you do? You will observe. They are counting, you are observing. So you will be observing the physical count? Yes. Only observation would be enabling you to understand the physical existence. But then you have to understand the condition. So you will also inspect. And only on management you cannot 100% rely. So you would at some places also do what? Test count. You will also perform test count. So these are all the procedures that you will adopt in case you will attend the physical verification on the date when the management is conducting the physical verification. That is when you are present at that point of time. A very regular scenario, a normal scenario. So these are all the things that you will do and then come to a conclusion whether what is given in the records and what is physically present, whether it is coinciding or not, that is it same or not. Physically plus quality as well, as they are telling is matching or not. Clear? So this is what the first one, which is a very normal scenario. Then let us take up the next one where it has become impracticable for you to reach the location. So maybe a war, maybe a disturbance in the region, maybe a huge floods and the climatic condition is got adverse where the auditor is unable to reach now. So in that case, when the physical verification has been conducted, the auditor is not able to reach. So it has become impracticable for him. So in that case also he has to obtain sufficient appropriate evidence. So he cannot just boycott and say, no, it's not possible for me. I will rely on the data and I will accept it. No. So here you will try to perform what? Alternate audit procedure. So you will perform alternate audit procedures, like you could inspect some corresponding documentation, like you could take the specific sales, specific purchases for a particular item and you will check the documentation towards it. Documentation as in when a particular sale has happened, whether corresponding documentation has been properly maintained or not. With this you will be able to get at least a kind of a persuasive evidence that yes, they are recording it properly, whatever is the thing happening, they have a corresponding documentation maintained. So this would be an alternative procedure that you could adopt. But suppose you believe alternate procedure is not giving you sufficient and appropriate evidence, or it is not possible for you to get any other alternate evidence or alternate procedure. So in a position of not obtaining sufficient appropriate audit evidence, then you would refer what? SA 705, because that would lead to modification in the independent auditor's report. So this is what you do in the two things. First, when things are quite regular, where there is no doubt regarding your presence. Second, you are not going to reach whatever date it is for physical verification because of some reasons out of your control, where you will try to perform alternate audit procedures. And if they also become impracticable or if they are also not possible, you would check the implication that is there on the auditor's report, and that you will be checking by applying SA 705, that is modification to an independent auditor's report. Now let us take up the next scenario, that is you are the auditor of Easy Communication Limited for the year ended 2021-22. The inventory as at the end of the year, that is 31st of March 22, was rupees 2.25 crores. Due to unavoidable reasons, you could not be present at the time of physical annual verification. Under these circumstances, how would you ensure that the physical verification conducted by the management was in order? So what they are trying to question here is, the client is a company, Easy Communication Limited. You are the auditor. The year ending is what? 31st of March 22. And that is the closing stock verification, that is the inventory verification that we are going to do. As per the records, that is the records are giving you how much? 2.25 crores. Now this is given in the financial statements, is there in the records. Now you, the auditor, have to ensure whether physically these are present and whether the condition as that given by the management is reliable or not. Correct? So as per the record, it is 2.25 crores. But now what happened? Assume on 31st of March, physical verification is conducted by the management. And this particular day, when you were leaving for the verification, that is to attend the physical verification, there was certain emergency or you met with an accident, etc. Any other situation, which is unavoidable. You cannot do anything here. So in that case, though you wanted to attend, because of some unavoidable reason, at that particular point of time, you could not reach. So we are not in the scenario of impracticable. We are in the scenario of what? Unable to reach at the point when physical verification is being conducted. Alright, now, under the above circumstance, how would you ensure the physical verification conducted by the management was in order? So now we can tell here that on 31st of March, when they conducted, you could not reach. First thing that you could do is that request the management to conduct on some other day. You could tell them to conduct on the next day. What guarantee management is going to listen to you? So first you request. If the management agrees, the next day try to make yourself possible to be present there. You have to be present there. If that is not feasible, if the management does not listen, then check whether is there any other date in that tenure of audit where physical verification is going to be conducted by the management. So maybe the management has planned a physical verification again on maybe 5th of April. So present yourself on that particular time. That means you be present on 5th of April, and then between 31st of March and 5th of April, you could do the intervening checking and you could do the reverse calculation. Okay, that means all the transactions have happened here and here. You could do the intervening checking and you could add, minus, you could do the reverse calculation and come to a figure of 31st of March. If this also is not possible, if they are not conducting, then you try to perform some alternate audit procedures. Alternate audit procedures is that you could get some kind of confirmation from the parties, inspect certain documentation, or maybe you would ensure the cutoff procedures whether properly followed by the client or not. All of these you will check. If suppose this alternate procedure is also not possible, then you would definitely have a communication with TCWG and you would check the implication on the audit report, that is whether you require to modify as per SA 705. Clear? So what is happening here is, you are not present on that particular point. First you request them to conduct on some other day. If they do not do that, you check whether they have any other day planned for the conducting of physical verification. If it is happening in the tenure, attend on that particular day and do the intervening calculation and go back to the reverse order on 31st March date. If that also is not done, then you would check for alternative audit procedures, and if alternate audit procedure is also not possible, in that case you would check the implication on the audit report and you would give what? a modified opinion as per SA 705. So this is what you will do when you cannot present yourself on the date of physical count conducted by the management, and that is not impracticable. That is, it was possible, but due to some unavoidable reason, at that particular day you cannot reach. That means on some other day, you could make yourself possible. Alright, so this is all about the answer where when they are conducting and you are not present, what would be the procedure adopted by the auditor to obtain sufficient appropriate evidence regarding the existence and the condition of the inventory. Now let us continue with the third question. GK Associates Chartered Accountants conducting the audit of P Limited, a listed company, for the year ending 31/3/22 is concerned with the presentation and disclosure of segment information included in the company's annual report. GK Associates want to ensure that the methods adopted by the management for determining the segment information have resulted in the disclosure in accordance with the applicable FRF. Guide GK Associates with example of matters that may be relevant when obtaining an understanding on the methods used by the management with reference to the relevant essays. Alright, now, since if you understand properly that they have given you an indication to segment information, we could definitely relate to essay 501. Because only in this particular standard, we are focusing more on what? A segment information. Alright. So, relevant essay for us is what? Essay 501. Now, let us understand the question, analyze and then come to a conclusion. So, the chartered accountants here are GK Associates. They are conducting the audit of P Limited, which is a listed company. And the year ending is 31/3/22. Now, while conducting the audit, this particular firm of chartered accountants is concerned with the presentation and disclosure of the segment information. So, presentation disclosure is what? The assertion that they are going to validate. The assertion of segment information included in the company's annual report. So, what is happening is GK Associates wants to ensure the method adopted by the management for determining the segment information, whether they have resulted in disclosure in accordance with the applicable financial reporting framework. You have to guide GK Associate with the examples of matters that may be relevant while obtaining an understanding on the methods used by the management. Now we know that as per SA 501, the third selected item is what? Segment information. And about segment information, the auditor has to obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. Regarding what? The presentation and disclosure of segment information, whether it is as per applicable FRF. Correct? And when you talk about FRF, here we are giving a representation to AS 17 and Ind AS where applicable 108. That means whether you have done it as per the required standards while you are disclosing and presenting the data in segment reporting. Now, this GK Associate is now going to check that the methods used by the management for the presentation and disclosure of the segment information, whether it is as per the FRF or not. That means this method, that means the way they have bifurcated the segments or the way they have presented the information, what would be the data which would enable the auditor to understand whether the methods which they are using is applicable or correct or not correct. So what will be the information that you will be using to understand, that means what would be the matters that you will take into consideration to understand whether the presentation and disclosure of the segment information which has been done by the management is as per the applicable financial reporting framework. So in the standard itself, there are certain examples given to you which you have to quote here. Alright, now, which are those? First, just to understand whether properly it has been done or not, we would check or we would ensure the information which is connected to the segments. Like there could be sales, there could be transfers, there could be charges between the segments, correct? So, or there could be elimination of some inter-segment transactions or expenses, correct? So, these are the data which will be available in the financial statements through which you will be understanding the method adopted, whether it is correct or not for their segment information. Because see what the question is telling. What are the examples of the matters that may be relevant while obtaining the understanding of the methods? So if you look at these information in the financial statements, you'll be able to understand the method through which they are dividing the segments or they're presenting their segments. Correct? Second, you could see the allocation of cost. Allocation of what? Cost. And the assets to different segments. This also will enable you to understand the methods through which the segments have been bifurcated and the reporting has been done. Third, you could do the checking of the consistency. Consistency as in prior period. What segments were there? This year are the same. Or the reporting done properly in the same manner, consistently. And if there is inconsistency, whether proper disclosure is there or not there. Correct? Or you could do the comparison. One more example would be, you could do comparison between budgets and actuals. For example, you would check the operating profit and sales of particular segment. So from this segment, this was operating profit that was budgeted. So whether it has been properly segmented like that or not. Okay. So these are all the examples of matters which will enable the auditor to understand what is the method used by the management to give the segment information. Whether it is correct or whether it is not. Whether it is as per applicable FRF or not. So the examples once again for reiteration. First, you would have the checking of the sales, transfers, charges between the segments, or you could see the elimination of the inter-segment charges or the transactions. Then you could see allocation of the cost and the asset to the various segments. How have they been done? Whether the methods are appropriate. See the consistency of the prior periods with that of the current year. If there is inconsistency, whether proper disclosure has been made. Moreover, you could also do the comparison between the budgets and the actuals, right? To understand the methods used for bifurcating the segments. Okay, so segment information could be bifurcated based on that as well. So these are all the examples that we have to quote in the examination for the purpose when they question you about examples of the matters for dividing the segments. Correct? So this is the matters, or these are the different information which the auditor could use to understand whether the methods adopted by the management, okay, regarding the presentation and disclosure of the segment information is as per applicable FRF or not. So that is the meaning of the word examples of the matters. This, if you refer the notes, you would get a proper understanding. These have been being given properly in proper liners for you to understand and understand the language also correctly. This was in a simplified manner for your understandability. You could refer the notes for you to get a clear understanding of all the statements correctly. So with this, we are done with what? The third question, that is third question regarding segment information which has been coming up here. And this is the third question we have covered for essay 501. With this, I guarantee you'll be able to understand the kinds of questions that you can expect. And one very important understanding to boost your confidence, when you understand a particular standard with the conceptual clarity, then when you read a particular question itself, you will understand it is coming from that particular standard. And then you could have a recapturing of the entire data of that standard and you'll be able to visualize and then give an answer very easily. So learning the standards conceptually becomes very, very important for us to write the papers. So with this, we close essay 501, that is audit evidence specific consideration for selected items.